pounds, y'all. Y'all was 130 pounds when y'all graduated from high school, but what happened? Like, get y'all shit together. Do something. Come on, y'all.
Women know men want y'all to be in shape, but then women make the choice not to. And they get mad at men for not wanting to pick the women that's not in shape. I don't get it. It's just like men know. Women
Right.
want men with money. If your broke ass don't get money, you're not finna get no women in the top percentile of women. We know and we understand it.
What's going on, YouTube? This is Julien Stoutt, licensed personal trainer, licensed PE teacher, world record powerlifter, and licensed special education teacher here to take the fear out of fitness. Today we have a topic that is going to take interest to a lot of women. Believe it or not, there's not a lot of women who watch my channel, and they really should, because even though men are typically the ones watching my channel, learning new ways to get in shape and learning the philosophies of how to improve yourself and be the best person that you could possibly be from a fitness perspective. The truth is that this channel is not just meant for men. Women need to learn and understand the things that go on with their bodies as well, so that they themselves can be the best versions of themselves possible as well. Because the truth is that the journey for fitness is not a daunting one for many of you. But I am the reason why a lot of women don't watch my channel, to be honest with you, is because I hold people accountable. I hold you accountable, and I'm not going to stop holding you accountable, because I don't believe in false positive body imagery. I don't believe that being obese and celebrating obesity is body positivity, because body positivity, there's a difference between not shaming someone versus not holding them accountable for what it is that they are or are not doing. On this channel, I have expressed many of times that there are a multitude of things that causes an individual to gain weight that may not be of their own control. For instance, you might be on medication. That medication might cause you to gain a great deal of weight because it's messing with your body chemistry. The way that your body normally works may not function when this new medication gets introduced. It might be cutting off certain chemical pathways that causes you to metabolize your body and your food, your body fat and your food better than it does when you're on this medication. But I'm not granting you excuses. I am understanding reasons. But that's not why we're here today. Today is, for the ladies specifically, is the question of thick versus fat. Thick versus fat is something that is in the topics lately, and specifically we're going to react to a portion of the Lapeef Network's conversation on this. And many of these YouTubers do not have the level of education that I have, especially when it comes to health, fitness, wellness, biomechanics, kinesiology, nutrition, all of these things. And because they don't, they make assertions because they do a little bit of quick Googling and quick clicking here and there to get their talking points, to recognize that there are women who are smaller than the average American woman, and women in America, especially black women in America, needs to change. And there is a small level of truth to that, but there is no nuance in the thinking and the understanding and the level of judgment that is being passed by the majority of these people on this channel. I already commented on Chaotic Truth. He's going to be featured in this video, but he makes no comments, so I'm really not going to talk about him. But Mr. Let Go is the person that really had the most to say, and most of the things he had to say was highly irresponsible and ignorant. So without further delay, what we're going to do is we're going to get to it. So with that being said, here we go.
You didn't choose cat allergies. You didn't choose your hairline, hot flashes, the flu.
They really be fat.
I got a question for you. Why do y'all keep blaming soul food for the reason why we big?
Cause it is. It's
big
common
part of
sense. The reason why people get fat is it's the food. We keep
Okay, let's stop there. First thing, SMS Sweeney Pod asked a very good question. Why are y'all blaming soul food for the enlargement of black people specifically? Because the funny thing is a lot of people's talking points when it comes to this is that 60, 70 years ago, black women weren't this large and at this high of a rate, and therefore, you know, the standard needs to be met that we need to go back to who we were in the 1950s and 60s, right? Well, first thing is, poverty was a thing in the 1950s and 60s, and food was not as abundant as it is now, number one. Number two, soul food is not the problem literally because it goes against the whole argument of what people were doing 60, 70 years ago. Because 60, 70 years ago, soul food was a thing, and soul food was a thing every single day. It wasn't we're only eating soul food on the weekends and we're only eating soul food for Thanksgiving. This was what you ate daily. Ham hocks, pig's feet, collard greens, black eyed peas, rice, fried chicken, things like that, right? There's a whole culinary industry on just merely soul food because of the creativity of black people with what we used to make good food. So this talking point is already BS.
Bro, I get what you said. Why y'all keep blaming soul food? Y'all think majority of people out here cooking soul food today?
No, they're not.
No, it's not just the soul food.
I think it's about your
So-
eating portion.
So he just said it's fried chicken. Isn't fried chicken part of soul food?
Most of these people don't know their way around the kitchen to cook no damn soul food. They eating McDonald's, corn, they eating
But that's the same
processed
thing. McDonald's.
McDonald's is not soul food. I don't know where Mr. Lego gets his information from, but that is utter and complete nonsense.
It is not the same thing
Oh
as
my
soul food.
God. It's
There was a
worse.
generation.
Look,
There was a
look,
generation
look.
before us.
Correct. It's worse than soul food, but the whole connotation, of soul food plaguing black people and being fat is stupid. It really just is.
There was a generation before us.
Science.
There was a generation before us that did nothing but cook that kind of food, and they somehow found a way to stay fit.
A disciplined woman don't eat nothing.
So the women were fit 60, 70 years ago eating soul food. Why, America? Can you tell me? Ladies, can you tell me? Because I could tell you. And the reason why is because women back in those times did not have access to vehicles as readily available as we do now. Women back then had to walk where they had to go, had to ride a bike wherever they had to go. And because of that, fitness increased. Nobody's body fat index actually increased well past what's normal. We'll get into that later.
That shit.
You
Period.
said what?
But disciplined women don't eat none of that shit, is what I'm saying.
So you mean the women from 40 years ago didn't eat none of that shit? And they somehow
Any
managed
woman
to
that I want
stay
to
fit?
deal with, and any woman that I deal with don't eat that dumb shit.
So he's talking about any woman he deals with. First of all, are the women that he deals with grew up 40, 50 years ago? 40, 50 years ago? So if that's the case, they're lying. if any woman tells you that they've never ate that, they're lying. Because 40, 50 years ago, chances are, especially since the majority of black people live in the South, I guarantee you they eat it, and they've eaten it in the past. They may not eat it now due to current education and knowledge and information based on nutrition and why certain diseases plague black people more than it does other races of people. Yes, there is a correlation to that. However, he's saying none of the women he deals with eats that, but yeah, that's the women you deal with who are dealing with it right now. But to say that they've never eaten it and that they don't eat it is nonsense.
Dog owners, do you know the 3 key stages of summer allergies to look out for?
They managed to somehow stay in shape, but the women today, you think majority of people out here cooking soul food, bro, on a night-to-night basis?
Not night to night, right?
No, they're not.
They not even cooking it on a week-to-week basis.
No, they're not.
When you say soul food, right? We thinking of black women pretty much, because who else the hell cooks soul food, right? But it's culturally, it's more so culturally, because in the United States, overall, 2/3 of us are overweight, right? Your average black woman here does weigh 100.
Now, this statement that he's making here about 2/3 of the population is overweight, according to BMI. Again, as a professional, BMI is not supposed to be used as a standard of measurement for the individual. Yes, we as a country are larger, but when you're genetically engineering the people around you with the foods that you're putting inside of our body, what makes you think that we're not going to be larger than everybody else? But I digress.
187 pounds, which is horrible. But it's not just black, because if you look at Africa, the average woman weighs 130 pounds. So it ain't about...
First of all, Africa is a continent, not a country. If we look at specific countries, right? We could look at specific countries. Tanzania, 15.2% of the population is obese, according to their standards, right? Average weight of a male and female in Ghana, which is 80 kilograms, right? So let's say 80 kilograms. So let's see what that looks like. 80 times 2.2. That's 176 pounds, right? Average male in Africa, right? Let's get to that. And 61.9, right? So let's look at that again. 61.9. That's 136 pounds. All right, that's average. Excuse me real quick. All right, so that's just in Ghana. Nigerian, the average weight of an African woman, Africa, 133, Europe, 156, Asia, 127. But we're not taking into account, what we're not doing is we're not taking into account a regional, the size of the people. We in the United States are the tallest, or one of the tallest countries in the world. All right. Not only that, but if you look at Europe, Europe is significantly larger than Africa in terms of their size. We're talking about the women, right? Since we're focusing on women and focusing specifically on black women, they're talking about Africa. Right? Let's look at this for Tanzania. Weight for height, prevalence of overweight, weight for height, BMI. This is already garbage. This is already garbage. I'm not even going to look at this study because it's already garbage. So why is it garbage? Why is it garbage? So first of all, let's start with the fact of body fat. Body fat for a woman. Does anybody before? I want somebody to timestamp this video and answer this question for me before I answer it for you. What is the ideal amount of body fat for a woman between the ages of 18 and 40 years old? Don't Google it. Just off the top of your head, what is that information? Don't cheat and Google it. Well, let's look at what that is. According to the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, there are healthy body fat percentages based on your age. For people aged 20 to 39, women should aim for 21 to 32% body fat. Men should have 8 to 19%. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look up something a little bit more profound. So they don't have any real statistical data in weight, right? So, but let's go back to this right here. For people 40 to 59, women should fall between 23% and 33%. And it gets higher as you get older, by the way. So I'm gonna give you some information. I have clients who are female who are walking around with 120 pounds of lean body mass, all right, which is hair, water, skin, muscle, bone. Now, according to this, 21%. So you see how I got this. So you're seeing exactly how I did the math. That's 145 pounds, people. So if a woman is walking around with 120 pounds of muscle mass, the smallest she should be is 145 pounds. All right? However, if we clear this out, so times 0.32, which is 32%, which is 38.4, add back the 120, 158. All right, 158 pounds. Now, as you get older, it increases. The average black woman weighs 187 pounds on average, which means we're about 30 pounds overweight in this country. But when a lot of these women are referring to being thick, but we're not accounting for height. So a woman who is 5'5", 5'4", which is average height, right? 5'4" is average height for a woman and weighs 158 pounds. She's more than likely going to be considered thick. So this thick versus fat thing, this is where the rubber meets the road. Now, obviously, this number is going to shrink the less muscle mass that female has. But the reason why I cannot stand these mindsets of people, especially on the social media stuff, is, for the most part, is because they use talking points, trying to imitate other YouTubers who use these talking points to convince women to get in better shape, that they're not accounting for the anomalies. They're not accounting for the women who are naturally larger than the average person. There are 27 different body types, and of all body types, the endomorphic woman will always be the considered thick woman. Now, thick is a term used colloquially, I can't speak today. Colloquially, oh, good Lord. Anyway, in the black community, as to refer to a woman who is voluptuous, well curved, and voluptuous. So that means that usually women in that category have a lot more muscle mass in certain regions of their bodies and are carrying body fat in places that are more pleasing to the eye, i.e. the breast, i.e. the hips, i.e. the buttocks, i.e. the thighs, whereas their waistline is relatively small, right? What happens is that these women are being lumped in with other women, but also, again, because we are using the standard of BMI, it is not a good idea. So I'm going to go to WebMD real quick and click on this. And I'm going to read this whole entire portion here. How body mass index is different. I want you to specifically see this. This is where I'm reading right here. I'm gonna highlight this so you can see where I'm reading. When thinking about body composition, body mass index might come to mind, but BMI does not measure body fat. Doctors use BMI to find out your weight status. There's a range of healthy to unhealthy BMIs. BMI only tells you the ratio of your weight to your height. However, it is not an incredibly accurate tool to know if you are at a healthy level or not. So, when people turn around and start using the BMI index and saying that this is the weight that you're supposed to be based on your height, that's bullshit. Stop using this. This is like no different than the military still using antiquated methods of measurement for people's level of fitness. You guys have to stop this. There are women who are much larger than other women who are in better shape than women smaller than them. I have relatives that are relatively small, weighing anywhere between 130 to 139 pounds, and are considered obese. Understand what I'm telling you. 130 pounds is obese. You can be 130 pounds and still be obese, people. Stop. Stop listening to nonsense. This is why when people who think that they're in a good weight and they think they're good because they wear a size 4 and then end up dying prematurely is because of these issues. And then you put this really bad stigma on larger women, specifically I said larger, not obese women, but larger women. You put the stigma on them and make them feel less than. They're not less than if they're built well, if they're still physically active, if they're still in a good body composition. There's a reason why men look at thick women, because they still have a relatively good muscle tone despite their large stature in certain places on their body, i.e. their thighs, their buttocks, their breasts, right? Because of that, men still gravitate towards these women. There's a reason why Instagram models are a thing. It's a reason why video vixens were a thing. Those reasons why are because the eyes don't lie. You can see if a woman is fat or thick. Now, when they are thick, leave them alone. As a matter of fact, leave everybody alone. If they're obese, encourage them. Kevin Samuels used to say, shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. Everybody's guilty of that in some capacity, because I'm proving myself right now. But shaming women into getting in shape is not going to work. Insulting them, like Mr. Chaotic Truth in one of my previous videos, is not going to work. Guilting them is not going to work. So if you are a black man between the ages of 18 and death, how is it working for you? How is shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right working for you? It's not working. I'm not sitting there saying be soft and be and not hold women accountable when it's a liability. Obesity is a liability in a household. When you have a family full of obese people, you are going to spend a lot of your money in doctor's visits. The majority of your wealth is going to go back to the doctor. The majority of your wealth is going to go to the food industry. The majority of your wealth is going to go down the toilet, figuratively and literally. So, obesity is not good when it comes to these things. However, when utilizing a criteria that is not meant to be used as a standard of measurement, this is why we fail as a people, because we are not educated in the mindset and the aspects of the things necessary to inform our people on what is up. Well, welcome to your new place of education, because right now you're getting an education lesson on what is the standard. Find out what the person weighs and then find out what their body fat percentage is in relation to their size. So if you find out that this woman that weighs 175 pounds, who you'll consider obese because she's 5'5" or 5'4" or 5'2" or 5'3", 5'1" in some cases, but you think that she's fat, and then all of a sudden you find out that she's walking around with 130 pounds of ungodly muscle. Let's find out what that is, right? Let's go. Calculator. 130 pounds of muscle. Right? Actually, let's go back. Clear that. 175 pounds times let's go 0.30 just for standard safety. Okay? That means they're walking around with 52 pounds of body fat. That's fine. All right? If we subtract 52 pounds from this, That means she's walking around with 122 pounds of muscle. That's a significant amount of muscle for a female, by the way. She's still healthy at 30% body fat. Now, if it exceeds 32% between the ages of 18 and 39, you got some work to do. Your work cut out for you, right? You got some work to do, ladies. You got to go to the gym. But, and so that y'all see that I actually did the work. Here we go. Here it is right here. 175 times 0.30, which means 52 pounds of body fat is what they're carrying. However, you subtract 52 from 175, you get 122. So that would be their muscle mass. Guys, it is important for us as a people, especially black people. White people, white men, if you're having the same issue, if you're feeling some type of way about the women in your community, I want you to understand this. You're judging your women harshly. You are putting yourself in a position where you are creating greater health issues than that of supposed obesity. All right? Because your daughter is going to see how you are treating her mother. Black men, white men, every man on this planet who's watching this video right now, your daughter, those of you who have them, are going to see how you are treating their mother, their aunties, their grandmother, the women around them, based on what size they are. And then they're going to formulate opinions and beliefs and attitudes. Some of them are going to go, oh, I don't want to be ridiculed and mistreated and disrespected, so I'm going to go this way. And then the other ones are going to be like, you know what? I don't give two shits what you think. I'm going the other way. But in both spectrums, you're creating a health crisis. Educating your children and letting them understand that their body size, based on genetics, based on what is healthy, is where we should be. You have to also understand who you are and what your family dynamics are. If you are naturally a large people, stop trying to make your daughter into a stick figure supermodel. It ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. Let them be accepting of their bodies. Tell them that they are beautiful because they are. Let them know that they are healthy in the condition that they're in when they are in the specific line of body mass, specifically lean muscle to body fat ratio, which is a more intelligent way of measuring one's health, because the clear indicator of poor health is your body fat percentage, not your BMI. Not your weight over your height, but how much fat you're carrying in relation to muscle. Because your metabolism suffers the greater amount of body fat you have. If your body does not have the muscle to support the mass, your bones begin to deteriorate, break down, and suffer. That is where the problem is. Not in you're too big for your height. What kind of shit is that? You're too big for your height. Make that make sense. Because you're too tall for your weight is the other half. You're skinny. You're too skinny. You need to gain some weight. How do you know? How do you know that this is not the pinnacle of what his or her body can achieve? So America, do me a favor. If you agree or disagree to anything that I said, feel free to comment in the comments below. Also, share this video with everyone you know, like, and love, because they need to hear this message. For God's sakes, I only have 157 people who subscribe to my channel, and because of that, this message is not spreading the way it needs to spread. I need y'all to understand that this needs to stop. We can all be a fit country. We could all be a fit society if we start acknowledging the truth of the matter. Our food is genetically modified. It is genetically engineered. The hormones in our food is ridiculous. Hormones tell the body what to do. If you're giving the body hormones that tells it to get bigger, what do you think is going to happen? When you give cows, pigs, chickens hormones, steroids, to make them bigger than they would have been a year from whenever they were given this stuff, what do you think is going to happen when you, the human being, consumes the food? You think those hormones went away? It's embedded in the blood, which is embedded in the muscle, which is embedded in your fried chicken, which is embedded in your hamburgers, which is embedded in your ground beef, your steaks. This is where it's going to find itself. And when it finds itself in that, what do you think is going to happen when you just eat on a regular basis? You're going to get bigger. And if you're bigger in a country where people are being inundated with hormones on a regular basis, what do you think is going to happen? So stop judging people based on your belief of gluttony, your belief systems of laziness, because guess what, fellas? You're just as lazy. 85% of the United States population does not exercise. I'm not even going to get into the other parts of this video. You can watch it for yourself because I'll put it in the links below. But they said ignorant stuff like black men are the most fit race and gender in the United States, which is not true. It's Asians. If you're even using the BMI standard, it's Asians that are the most fit. Number 2 is white women. Number 3 is now black men. Understand that. We're not the top of anything as black men, if you're watching this channel. But again, comment below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything that I said. If you have any issues, if you take issues with anything that I said, feel free. I'm more than willing to engage with you. We need to make this conversation more prevalent in the YouTube spaces. If you like what I said, click the like button so that it allows everybody else to see what it is that I say. And have a nice day. God. Whew. And be the best you.